CTM is a $50 million run rate company right now. But what if I told you that the company is doing things and is talking about $150 million and even hinting at something bigger than that with no dilution? Investment bankers are on standby at the current moment, and there's a potential transformation within the next 6 to 12 months on the horizon. Now, as you know, that's not normal behavior for a microcap stock like Castellum CTM or other microcap stocks. So let's break this down. And remember, guys, if you do enjoy videos like this, please feel free to hit the like and subscribe button and comment below what it is you want to see in future upcoming videos. Now, before we even talk about the big stuff, and the big stuff we're going to be discussing is in relation to a call that, shout out to the Discord community, by the way, and the creator of the Castellum CTM Discord, none other than MOUNWP. Now, you need to understand that CTM is quietly cleaning up how they present themselves to the market. They just brought in the equity group, and as we do know, that is the IR firm that they chose out of the 17 companies that were part of the interviewing process, 4 in the selection, and they ended up going with the equity group right here. Now, they're revamping their website, and they did say, and it is mentioned here specifically, that with one of the concerns is that they feel as if the Castellum CTM website, let's just pull it up right now, they want to have a better presentation, and they do feel as if the website isn't up to date and kind of gives it a little bit of a bad look. So let's pull it up right here. And again, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But when people do see this, they do think that it does need a pretty big update. If you enjoy my content, please hit the like and subscribe button. And if you ever need help making better decisions with investing, simply take a look at the first link below to get access to my community and support yourself with like-minded investors and get access to the world's leading AI models, Claude, Gemini, OpenAI, and Grok. Get all of this software for $7 in my community, and my community is free. Now, not only that, they're also improving their earnings transparency, because one of the questions that I believe it was me, I can't remember if it was me or another member in the community, but somebody in the community did mention that they want to be able to know exactly when the earning reports are coming, because in the past what we have dealt with is we know roughly the time that earnings is going to be reported, but we don't know the exact date. So it makes things a little bit confusing, and it does put investors in a little bit of when is the news actually going to come, and it does make it seem as to use the proper term, I would say it makes it in the way of, it just gives a little bit of confusion with the overall opinion of investors. It just brings confusion, and clarity is what this company needs specifically. So where does that specifically say right here? So it talks about the website. They're getting ready to transition their website to deliver more information than before. Now, we're going to take a new, right here. It says, it's based on my conversation and the evidence from the date, it seems like the company will begin taking a new approach to how it showcases earnings by now informing us an earnings date beforehand. This should help clear up major confusion for investors about the company. So that's a very good positive sign. They're doing things a lot better, because as we do know, Castellum CTM does very good things fundamentally, and their financials continue to improve. But from the perspective of presentation and getting more eyes on their company, they're taking care of those problems that they got right now. They're not waiting to take care of these problems. They're finding the solution and taking action at this very moment. Now, the reason why also is because, as you do know, investors, they don't want to invest into messy companies. They invest in companies that look organized, professional, and scalable. So this right here, this is CTM laying the foundation before making their next big move. Now, here's what things are getting interesting. When we go into the actual chat, let me show you this, guys. There's lots of funny stuff in the chat. So we got a lot of very professional people here. I'm being sarcastic, just letting you know. But after he said that the meeting was done, he does mention a few things. So let me pull it up. He says, right here, when he was talking to him about the acquisition process, he mentioned something along the lines of AAR $150 million, and Castellum's current AAR is $50 million. Now, let that sink in just for a second, guys. That's a step change, and it gets even crazier because they're talking about in a 6 to 12 month timeline, and they have investment bankers on standby. Let me show you this right here. He also says it right here. He says, did I forget to mention they also have investment bankers on standby should they pursue that road? Now, unless you are seriously preparing for something massive, that screams one thing and one thing only. None other than the word acquisitions. So that's not, and I don't anticipate it's going to be a small acquisition either. I do anticipate something big is going to be on the horizon within a 6 to 12 month period, because I asked in the community also before he had his call. I just asked him specifically. I asked him, do you know if we are still on track to complete phase 3, as they did say? Because in the report that came out after they announced that they reduced their entire debt, they cleaned out their debt. They did say that within a 6 to 12 month period, they will be completing an accredited acquisition. And I asked that question right here, and then he responds with saying they are on track, which I did approve. All right, I gave him a thumbs up, and I was very happy to see that. Now, the next thing that I want to point out is the fact that retail investors are going to care. What they're going to care about the most is management. Do they straight up say they do not need to dilute for an acquisition? That's another big thing that a lot of people were very worried about, dilution concerns. Let me show it to you right here, as he does show it in the article. He says in big bold words, let me just find it right here. Castellum CTM has enough cash to pursue an acquisition. It does not need to dilute any further right now, nor does it need to explore any offerings currently. Glenn says it would be logical to suggest that the company is currently looking at companies to acquire, as it is down the road with its acquisition process, and acquisition typically takes 6 to 12 months for it to happen. But the main focus I just want you to know about is it doesn't need to dilute any further. It doesn't get more clear than that and straightforward. We love companies and we love CEOs that are very straightforward and transparent with the good, bad, and ugly of a company. So what this does is it removes the fear for dilution concerns that everyone's been talking about, and that's absolutely huge, because as we do know, market sentiment within retail investors is extremely important for very sensitive microcap stocks like Castellum CTM. And it does make other people, investors, have specific questions. For example, they're thinking, when are they going to raise their money? I'm sorry, guys. Rewind. It makes people think that it changes the frame of what investors are thinking. Is instead of thinking about when are they going to raise the money, they change their perspective and they have a different thought process and a different question, such as how big can this actually get? It shifts their psychology from a place of fear to a place of optimism, which is what this company does need. Now, to layer everything on top, CTM is working. It's not working. They already have CMMC level 2 certification, and that is something that they were able to get. And as it says right here, it's a pretty great deal for Castellum. Now, why this is a great deal for Castellum is it's becoming a requirement. He states it there. It's becoming a requirement for many Department of Defense contracts. So what they are saying is they're not waiting. They're they're positioning themselves early to be able to capitalize and get the most DoD contracts that they possibly can within a longer time frame, because this certification puts them in a position where they're more likely to be able to win more contracts, which is what this company needs now. And they're doing it before the floodgates open. And right now they've had 3 decent contracts, but as time goes on, let's not be surprised and let's not kid ourselves here. We're going to probably see within the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-year timeline, contract after contract after contract after contract. If, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but I do anticipate seeing that type of, that amount, that quantity, that volume of contracts coming in over the long run. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, but over the long run is what I'm saying. Now, what I also like is the CEO, because Glenn Ives, what he does with the framing of the way he says things is he's signaling trust without the hype. Well, I mean, this news should get people, retail investors hyped up, but he's not laying the foundation of everything he says upon in a way where he's trying to emotionally manipulate you or trying to get you psyched up without anything below the surface. Um, I want you to pay attention to the tone that he says. He says he refuses to lie or mislead investors when he says there's no intention of a reverse an RR. Now, a reverse split. Now, one second, guys. Let me just pull it here because we got to go back to the chat with all the funny people in our community. Let me show that to you here because I posted. One second, because it was a response that I had to the owner of the server. Let me see. Let me find it for you guys. Awkwardness as I look for it. Let me see. Where are we? Okay. I think it's right here. He says it right there. And in the article, it does say one thing. And I was honest about, so again, we don't marry stocks here in this YouTube channel. We try to get as unbiased and unfiltered as possible and be brutally transparent, which is not a popular way to go about many things in life because, as you do know, the honest truth can hurt. But when the honest truth, especially when it comes to the stock market, the honest truth is growing financials, even though there is risk currently, because as we do know, it's still a penny stock and it's below $1 per share. The growing financials continue to improve and it quarter over quarter and year over year, but there is risk on the table. The main concern besides dilution is worries about delisting or having to do a reverse stock split. Now, I said the only concern obviously was saying he can't guarantee an RS won't happen due to the nature of the market, but I respect Glenn's honesty and I love how he was so transparent about that issue and that there's no talks about it. And what he said, the owner of the server, he says Glenn told me he refuses to lie or be dishonest. That's not how he that's not what he was taught to do growing up. That shows one thing, one big word, that's integrity. Integrity is a big thing, especially in the stock market, and transparency, because as you do see, as we do know, there's lots of market manipulation, and you're putting your hard-earned capital in a company when you invest for a for a medium-term or long-term investment. You're putting your money and you're betting that this stock is going to go up, and you got to be able to do your own due diligence. And you do your own due diligence when a company is being completely transparent, so you see all the public information there, and you can make your own assessment as to whether or not you want to put your hard-earned money in that company. Because let me just show you the transparency of this guy. What he says that Glenn Ives said during the call is Glenn Ives has no intention of doing any reverse stock splits. He says he cannot guarantee it won't happen due to the nature of the market, but it would be something drastic for him to even consider it. It's not being talked about at all within the halls of CTM office building. He is very confident that over time we will reach greater heights. He implores shareholders to stay tuned for what's in store these next upcoming years with regards to contracts, acquisitions, scaling, integrations, etc. So what that shows me is that he can't guarantee it due to the fact that he's not in control of the market. He can't decide whether his stock goes up or down. But what he can be certain of is that it's not being talked about. It's not even in consideration. And you should be optimistic due to all of the other good things that Castellum CTM is doing in relation to IR firms with the PR issues and the IR firm, the equity group with the PR issues, and how they're positioning themselves, especially with reaching CMMC level 2 certification. So when you put all this together, what you're getting is improved communication, potential acquisitions, no dilution, and positioning for future defense contracts. That doesn't look like the same CTM most people think that they do know. It looks like a company that might be preparing for a completely different phase. And the question you need to be asking yourself is simple. Are you early to that shift? Or are you going to wait until everyone else sees it and you're just like everybody else chasing that bull run or trading and investing based on the emotion that kills you long term, which is FOMO? And if you want me to keep breaking down Castellum CTM or other companies like CTM, please comment below what it is you want to see in future upcoming videos and hit the like and subscribe button, as I do appreciate the support from all of you guys. So, with that being said, David Figueroa here with InvestQ. Stay safe, keep making good decisions with your long-term portfolio, and I'll see you all in the next video.